Welcome to episode 6 of the Golden Squeeze podcast. We are starting to roll, finding our groove, and hopefully our viewership can catch up to our number of episodes here soon. Because one keeps going up and one is staying the same. But today we are going to talk about NXT and SmackDown. But let's start off with NXT. And the first match on this week's card was Dijak versus Shawn Spears. Now, I've said numerous times, I don't really watch NXT, and this week I didn't watch it. I thought I had, but apparently I didn't, because I don't remember any of these matches on this card. So I am going to defer to you, Wade. So tell me what you thought of the Dijak versus Shawn Spears match.
Excellent match all the way through, and just a few things. First of all, wouldn't expect anything different from these two. They've been doing it a long time. Very, very good professional wrestlers. Spears brought his chair to the ring, had it off to the side, close to one of the security railings. And when they were outside of the ring at one point, Joe Gacy slithered out with that evil, sadistic smile, took the chair while they weren't looking, and slithered back under the ring. And so later on in the match, Spears was kind of looking for the chair and kind of confused as to where it went. And then a few sequences later, Dijak got I don't care. That's a minor distraction. Gacy did not get physically involved. That kid, feast your eyes. Loved that finishing move, and got the pretty much clean win. He got a clean win over Spears. Very, very good match, and so it was very good. And the right person won because they were leading up to, which was confirmed later on in the show, Act being involved in the North American title match against Obafemi. And so that victory pretty much sealed that for him, and we'll get to the rest of that future match later on. But don't like the fact that they hype up Spears' return with these vignettes. They had the Ridge Holland thing. He beat Holland because Ridge wouldn't go to that place to beat him, and Spears wins. But then a couple weeks later, he's losing clean. And it looks like there's going to be a feud with Gacy later on in the parking lot. They were interviewing him, and he said, Gacy wasn't even on my radar, but now obviously he is. And Gacy chucked the chair from the top of the building while laughing, and so that's probably a future match. But it also showed that the chair landed next to Obafemi, who was entering the arena at that point, and he shouted some stuff up to him. But great. Spears is a great wrestler, but I don't know. They could have booked him to win some more lower profile matches leading to something, North American title match or some higher profile. There would be Standard Deliver or not, or a future event, the one coming up in Canada post WrestleMania. Just feel like with the way they hyped his return, they could have built it to him having a loss on at least a PLE event or something. I don't get it. I don't get why they did what they did.
Yeah. Well, it's confusing. Probably has something to do with no one caring about Shawn Spears, if I had to guess.
But the fans, they were hyped when he returned, man. They were. That place, and that is a good, loyal, raucous crowd at the NXT shows. I'm not saying that
for any return. I remember them going crazy one time when Great Khali came out as a return, so they'll go crazy for anybody.
Well, we'll get to something that the fans were not hyped about the way they hoped later on in the show. But what was which match was next?
Next was Thea Hall with Chase U versus Jasmine Nix with JC Jane.
I think it's Thea Hale.
Thea Hale. Okay.
No, dude, that was a good match, and Jasmine. We're gonna have to look this up because I feel like they said this may have been her first televised singles match, and if that's the case, she more than held her own in there. Thea Hale is a quick moving, kind of does some speed moves like head scissor stuff, and Jasmine sold everything very well. And if that is the case, if that was her first televised match, which based on I can never remember that other announcer's name, man, but he called out Booker T for checking her out essentially, and so that was pretty funny. But at one point, Hale was by the apron where JC Jane was watching the match, and she's like, thought you were my friend, and JC said, I never was your friend, or something along those lines. So they're setting up that match. However, there were some run-ins at the end, so I don't know if they're going to do a multi-person tag match at Stand and Deliver, or if they're. I think JC Jane and Thea Hale would be a good singles match, and I hope that's what route they end up going in. But we shall see. So
and I have confirmed that was Jasmine Nix. That was her debut. So that was her debut.
Very good debut, because man, I've seen some. I've seen some NXT debuts that have not looked clean at all. Which, let's face it, that's to be expected in some instances. But this dude, had you not said, I would have never thought that was her first match. Like, there was nothing about that match. Like, I can't think of a single sequence that made me think, oh, that's because she's never been on this stage before. Very good. She did very good.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it's like a soccer background or volleyball or what, because they made reference to like NIL deals with her and stuff. I can't remember what background.
They have that program, the Next in Line program, that the WWE has, where they get people from college. I think they get about 11 to 15 different athletes and sign them to next in line contracts. They like Gable Steveson, I think, was a next in line person. And by the way, where did that guy go?
Dude, I have no idea, and that's definitely worth looking up at some point too, because I have absolutely no idea, because they hyped that up. Didn't he make a WrestleMania appearance last year? Yeah. I have no idea.
And they were so excited to get him, and then they've done nothing with him. So we will look that up.
He may have had like one match or something in NXT. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, that maybe that'll be a NXT after Mania event or something, or who knows? We shall see. But yeah, like I said, whatever training Jasmine's been doing, it paid off. She looked good in there. It was a good match. It really was
good. WWE has a stacked women's roster, and you can never have too much talent. Well, actually, you probably can't have too much talent.
Yeah, you can.
WWE definitely has too much talent.
As we'll get into with SmackDown, in my opinions on how the WrestleMania card's stacking up in some of those.
Yeah. But moving on to the next match between Lola Vice and WWE super veteran, I'd like to call her, Natalya.
Vice came out and basically did an open challenge. Natalya answered the bell, and very good match. And I am surprised that just because, and just based on the way that Natalya has been booked as like this gatekeeper for any and everyone like trying to move up the chain, because I think they've done her a disservice so many times over the years, where they should have at least given her some sort of lengthier run. I can't even remember the last time she had a singles title, but just I can think as far back as some of the early days of NXT where she was in like the finals for the women's match and, you know, just put over. She is, you know, she's a loyal employee, but that they that is somebody that they are fortunate enough that they can always go to her and be like, hey, go out there and have a great match with whomever. And you know, I look at her as they'd you know, you hear a lot of times about certain wrestlers could have a good match with a broomstick, and I definitely think Natalya is one of those. She is a great professional wrestler, and the win. I was not familiar with the girl that came out and kind of gave a momentary distraction. Someone that has history with Lola Vice, but they made reference to the Canadian connection, and then her and Natalya like went up the ramp together at the end after Natalya got the win, and so I'm sure that that'll figure in later down. And I apologize. Like I said, I'm just trying to get back into NXT, and I do not recall what her name was.
It was
What her name is.
Carmen Petrovic.
Okay, and they specifically made reference to there being a Canadian connection there with so, and that there was history between her and Lola Vice. So I'm guessing we'll see that again. But yeah, anyways, the match itself was very good, and yeah, surprised, but I'm glad that they had Natalya win, and it was in a way that it didn't really look bad on Vice. She lost to one of the, in my opinion, one of the best wrestlers the company has been fortunate to ever have. And I feel like they've not done her justice by rewarding her like they should have. And
They rewarded her in other ways. She was a very big focal point on Total Divas. So she had,
that is true. That's fair.
She had that. She's still with the company. I mean, she's
very loyal.
She's got no in-ring personality. She's got personality, but not in-ring personality. She's not the best on the mic. She's not believable on the mic. I'll put it that way. But yeah, she's great. She should be great. Look at her family members. If she wasn't great, they should have taken her out and put her down, because when your family is Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. I mean, she was young, but I'm sure that she was probably wrestling around with guys like the British Bulldog, and I don't know how old she is. I don't even know if she was alive, and Owen Hart was alive. But her family is there's more than one royal family, as Cody will tell you, and that's one of them. So,
yes.
But Natalya's fine. I agree with you. She's great in ring, but I understand why she hasn't had a long title run in a long time. She's in the same vein as the Tamina Snukas and what have you. What I mean by that is they always book her to lose, but the announcers always try to hype her up like she might win. That's what I mean by that.
Okay.
That's all I mean by
that. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, when I say maybe now I could see that they're probably not going to give her any type of lengthy title reign, but I'm talking about like back in that time where she was putting over the younger girls in NXT and stuff like that. I think at that time they should have given her some sort of more sustained run. But, you know, back then the booking was all over the place, more so than it is now. So either way, all that to say, it was a good match. Good to see her out there wrestling on television. And, so another good match.
Also, I looked it up. She is in her 40s. She's 41. So, yes, she was alive for Owen Hart.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought she was younger than that. But
because you don't watch NXT, Josh. That's why.
yes, that is true. But I'm trying. I'm getting there. Baby steps, baby steps. But on to the next match. It was Ilya Dragunov versus Channing Stacks Lorenzo with Adriana Rizzo. What's going on there?
So, good match. And Dragunov is very good at selling.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it. However, you need to go and watch the way he was selling his hand being hurt. And he kept like having it like this. I don't know if he was trying to imply it was dislocated or something. And then he kept doing that. But of course he fought through it. It was a good match. And and I was unaware of this. There was a move where they hit like a double double shins to the hand because Off's finisher is that like something Moscow, like the flying uppercut thing, torpedo Moscow or something like that, when he like runs full speed and gets the punch is one of his finishing moves. And so he was targeting Dragunov's hand, and at one point did the double knees or double shins to the hand, and they're like, "Oh, he got him with the cement shoes." So just going full out more on this whole mafia thing. It was amazing, dude. I was laughing. I was
they
like,
need to let it go.
Oh no! They did not, because
they need to.
Because the Don and not I think Stax is the underboss, and then so the like consigliere, whichever,
he's the underboss. Yeah.
Okay. And the newest member, like the enforcer guy, he was in the back watching with the Don, and
the Mad Dragon. That's
that's Dragunov's nickname.
That's Dragunov.
Okay. Yeah. So the Don was in the back watching the match, and Dragunov ended up coming back and winning another good match. I personally don't like the champion being booked in the middle of the show like that. Mm-hmm. I think I definitely feel that should have probably either led or closed the show, just because of how I feel about where the main title holder should be booked on the card. But that notwithstanding, it was still a good match. I don't think the result was ever in question, especially with the Don and another family member watching from the back and not coming out ringside to get involved. But the consigliere, whatever title it was, he asked the Don, like, "You want me to go out there?" He's like, "Yes." He's like, "But nothing physical." He's like, I want you to invite Dragunov to dinner. He's like, "All right, at the restaurant." He's like, "No, not at the restaurant." He's like, and he said something, I don't know if it was the Citadel or what he said, but the look on the other family member's face, he's like, "You mean that place really exists?" And he's like, "It does." And then he's like, "Was that the place that you took the guy?" He's like, "It is. He's like, "Just give him this." And he handed him like an invitation to give to Dragunov. I was like, "Oh man, that's like it was golden. It was fantastic."
Oh, that's funny.
And so later on, the invitation was given to Dragunov, and yeah, good match. No outside interference. But the selling of the hand, you're gonna have to go back and watch. It was it was a little over the top. But
it's Tiffany Stratton's boyfriend. Yeah.
Really? I did not know that. And we'll get to the fantastic vignette they had for her on SmackDown. That was golden. That was That was perfect. They've got a second to none production team in WWE.
They do. She is very active on TikTok, and Ilya Dragunov very frequently finds themselves in her TikToks. So they are a couple. But moving on to the next match, it was Ridge Holland, or not match, next segment. Ridge Holland announced his retirement from in-ring competition.
I was going to say stepping away indefinitely from in-ring competition. And when you said something earlier about along the lines of not getting the response they wanted, and this was it. I felt bad for the guy going out there. He just it's like and I can't believe it. I wanted to be like, people stop. Y'all don't care when a few of them, and it was very, very short-lived, a thank you Ridge chant happened. But some people were like cheering when he was stepping away, and it was like definitely like a Bronx cheer. And
okay.
and
well, that's what you get for hurting our Big E.
Oh yeah, and dude, just the whole thing, it was uncomfortable because you could tell that nobody really cared about it, and it just and again, it's like, why? And I think it's been very apparent from this whole thing and the way they've been trying to book this that the fans do not care about it.
Yeah.
And again, that's just, I'm not knocking him. It's just when you try to force feed something down people's throats week to week that they don't care about, that is the type of response or lack thereof that you're going to get.
Yeah.
But from everything we're seeing, this is obviously a work and gonna tie into some return later down the line, and but they've gone so far as to remove him from the active roster on the website. So, anyways, yeah, dude, yeah.
Hopefully, after the reaction that you just described, they don't put him back on the active roster.
Oh no, they will. They will.
Oh.
No, dude, if they're still committing to this thing and they allowed him to go out there and do that whole spiel, leaving the microphone in the ring and everything, they're pot committed at this point, dude. They're pot committed and drawing dead, as they say in the poker world. But yeah. So, anyways, that's enough of that one. Yeah.
All right. Well, next up was Josh Briggs versus Duke Hudson.
Dude, okay. Duke Hudson's a big guy. I did not realize how big Josh Briggs was until he was in the ring because like I said, I'm just getting back into this, following it week to week. I know they've talked about how big Briggs is, but dude, him in there taller than Duke Hudson, I was like, wow, this is a really big man. And dude, it was a good, hard-hitting big man match. Unless the end game,
6'8", 270.
Oh, dude, and how big is Duke Hudson? Like 6'5", 6'6"? I didn't feel like he was towering.
6'5", 250.
Okay, yeah, dude. And because like I said, you can tell Duke Hudson's a big dude. I've seen a few of a few of the Chase U matches with Duke Hudson before, so you can tell he's a big guy. But when somebody is visibly a few inches taller than him, like, yeah, he is a big man. And so Dijak was ringside for this, and you could tell that you could tell he was shouting at Dijak a lot and not focusing on the match, and Dijak was calling him out about it on commentary. On the commentators were discussing it, but again, they were trying to make you believe that Duke Hudson was going to get a win, but this was clearly setting up for a triple threat for the North American title, which is exactly what happened. Great match, by the way. It was a very good big man match. Those guys are athletic big men. especially some of the stuff that Duke Hudson was doing. I didn't know he could do that stuff. And one more thing about Duke Hudson, like unless the end game for him is to stay in NXT, because I don't. I mean, I guess they could be like an Alpha Academy if they bring Chase U to the main roster, but it's more suited for NXT. And I think it's a shame if that's the ceiling for him, because Duke Hudson is a talented guy, but he's not going to get any type of push on the main roster with that Chase U gimmick. But he's talented enough; he's going to have to ditch that. And a guy his size, I think, even though Vince is gone, they will still find a place for a athletic guy that size on the main roster.
I think you always have to have at least one, preferably two, just big giants that are prominent on Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
If you really want to be successful, that's why they need Braun Strowman healthy, because they don't really. There's a void for that right now. Everybody's small. They don't have any big guys right now that are going out there every week.
Well, these two guys are big, and
where's Almost been?
Don't know. There's talks of him being prominently involved in this new speed thing, which will we'll see. We may touch on that later, touch on that another day. But trying to think if there's anything else in this. Briggs ended up winning the match. Good match. And there was a thing with him and Dijak, and then Obafemi went to the champions balcony, I guess they have there, because the Wolf Dogs were there one week watching the other teams, and then Obafemi came out there and congratulated them both on their high profile wins this week, and basically said he announced that it's going to be a triple threat match for his title, and I like that, because so many times, even if it's supposed to be the baddest guy on the roster, they always do the fake outrage, like, oh, you booked me in a match where even if I'm not pinned, I'll lose. Like he told them it's happening. It's a triple threat. So that's already, going off the beaten path for booking wise. Cause I mean, how many times have you seen that where even the baddest of the badasses, they're like, what? And act all pissed for a triple threat. But this guy told them, hey, it's a triple threat match. And so
he's stupid.
Well, confident. And that is going to be three very large men in the ring at the same time. It's Stand and Deliver. And I hate it, man. And just because I want Dijak to win, but I don't, unless their plan is to have, say, Dijak pin Briggs and then move Femi, because I know they're very high on him, and move him into the main title picture, which I could see that happening. But I just don't know if they're going to that North American title off him this quickly. But unless the plan is for Dijak to pin Briggs, I don't see Femi losing already. But I think Dijak deserves that opportunity for sure. But you know what? I changed my mind. I think they'll do that. I think they'll give it to Dijak, have him pin Briggs, and then move Femi up to the because Femi's not bad on the mic. At least I don't think he is. And you got a guy
who is bad in the mic.
Briggs. Oh man. But yeah, but I'm definitely looking forward to that match next Saturday. That'll be a good one.
Yeah, we're a week removed from Briggs saying that Dijak looked like Shaft. So
yeah. Dijak reminding him that he's not black.
I'm white, Briggs.
Oh my God, dude. What was next?
Next was the main event. The tag team qualifier for the Wolf Dogs and their opponent, the Alpha Academy, with Maxine Dupree. Now, I did see a couple highlights of this match, and I will say the one spot where Braun Breaker was up on someone's shoulders, I guess Otis's
Oh,
shoulders, and
yes.
then Tozawa went off the top rope, and then he caught him and reversed it and got him with the
Yes.
slam. That was an impressive spot. I will say that. Braun, I don't quite understand Braun Breaker, only because he's great and he should be on the main roster, and they had him on the main roster to get 2 squash matches, and that was like a month and a half ago, and we haven't seen him back since. It was in mid-February, so a month ago. And unless I missed something, because a lot of times I won't have the volume all the way up, did they ever explain why he's not doing main roster stuff anymore? Because he was pulling double duty, and then it just like that, it was done, and he's just
No, they did
back
the
on
same.
NXT.
They did the same thing with Carmelo Hayes. He was out
Yeah,
there 3 weeks in a row.
yeah, but he's small and he's never going to succeed on the main roster.
We disagree with that.
My
But
8-year-old's bigger than him, but it is what it is.
yeah, we will see. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. But this
Bring them both up. Let him be a tag team. I love Baron Corbin. I think Baron Corbin's great. Bring him up. Bring them both up.
I love Baron Corbin too, and don't know how they're going to book him going forward. They got to get Braun Breaker is too good to not get a massive singles push sooner rather than later. But I think a lot will depend on who they're facing at Stand and Deliver for what they're going to do, because they've got the triple threat tag match next week to see who faces them. And logic went way out the window this week.
When is that? When are they doing that?
Next week on NXT.
So there's a match to see who's going to fight them at Stand and Deliver.
Yes. So this match this week, if Tozawa and Otis would have won, they would have automatically again, logic went out the window for this getting thrown together last week. They would have automatically been in the match, and it was going to be a triple threat with Alpha Academy, Wolf Dogs versus the winner of this triple threat tag match next week. And that's going to be with the Good Brothers, Axiom, and I can never remember Axiom's partner, and the LWO. And dude, if
so the Wolf Dogs are going to drop the titles then, and
I think it depends on who wins next week. Because do you see the Good Brothers? Do you see the Good Brothers beating them and having a sustained run on NXT?
I mean, Festus deserves to have a sustained run, but it's a he. There,
I mean, I don't have
perfect
a
to bring him up for the SmackDown or the Raw after WrestleMania.
No, I agree, but don't know if they're going because with a lot of the backstage interactions and everything, all signs are pointing towards it being the Good Brothers versus the Wolf Dogs for at Stand and Deliver. I just don't know if they're going to want a tag team that's been around that long in a more of a up and coming brand being their week to week beating these younger teams as champions.
They don't have to have it for long. They can just be used as the vessel to get the titles off of those two so that they can have their moment at the Raw after WrestleMania. I mean, I think I answered my own question of why he's been off SmackDown for a month and a half, so it feels special again when he comes back out. Because if he was on there every week or every other week leading up to WrestleMania, then it wouldn't feel special when he comes out on the SmackDown or Raw after WrestleMania. But now that he's had some time away from the main roster, when he comes back, people will still care because he is so physically gifted. He's unbelievable. He's the fastest person you'll ever see in the ring. He's one of the strongest people you ever see in the ring. I mean, he has the entire package from a wrestling perspective. He's a believable person, in my opinion, who could beat Roman. I mean,
Yes.
he could beat. There's not a person that you can put in the ring with him where it's not believable that he would win.
Me.
So, except for maybe like, no, yeah, he can beat it. He can beat anyone, and if he beat anyone, you wouldn't say, "Oh, that couldn't happen," because we both know that WWE is notorious for making people win that in real life would never win.
Yeah. And I just help but wonder, man, if, because he did a couple of squash matches and then, just sporadic appearances. If that was just to, like, give a little taste and then get a feel for how the crowd reacted. And then, they're going to start some feud, the SmackDown after Mania, or if maybe they had to call an audible. Maybe they had something in place to put him at WrestleMania, potentially do double duty at Stand and Deliver and Mania, but something happened and like they didn't have enough room at the card or something. But
The Rock came in, and The Rock said that he needed at least 2 hours on night one, so they had to cut some things. Rock said, "I'm not doing this unless you give me 2 hours. I need a 2-hour match."
Well, man, apparently, from me and you talking beforehand, they already had to edit out a good minute and a half, 2 minutes of kind of an important part of Raw.
Yeah.
At the end there for those of you who didn't see SmackDown this week, apparently at the end of Raw after Jey Uso won, and then they just cut to the back of Cody fighting off Jimmy and Solo before The Rock beat him down. Solo and Jimmy came out through the crowd to confront Jey after the victory. Seth Rollins came in and helped. Drew McIntyre came in and was fighting Rollins, and then it led to, I think Cody actually came out, and then they went to the back, but you didn't see any of that Solo and Jimmy and Seth, Drew, and Rollins. I'm sorry, Seth, Drew, and Cody. You didn't see any of that right after Jay's win. It just cut to the stuff backstage. So they had to cut out something because they just showed it on SmackDown recap.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what other people on the internet are saying about that, because I haven't looked up anything from SmackDown today. But I wonder if people have the same confused thought process that we have. I also wonder whether or not, because Raw and SmackDown are tape delayed on the West Coast, so I wonder whether or not, since we see it live, whether or not they edited some things or added some stuff in from the West Coast crowd. So maybe not everybody didn't see it. Maybe the West Coast got to see it, but we didn't.
Now, what kind of tape delay is it on?
3 hours.
No. I don't mean like that. I mean, because there's obviously some delay because they edited out the Rock's cussing, the holy shit seconds. Chants. Okay. Because I mean, dude, they cut out a significant chunk of that.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, I'm wondering if, given the Rock's tendency to go over, supposed tendency to go over time, depending on who you ask, he doesn't. He has that time allotted and has gone beneath it a few times, depending on which website you read. But
that's what I see. They ask The Rock how much time you want, and he just says yes. Just takes it all.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Because I was so confused. But anyways, and I bet our 4 viewers are confused as how do we go from talking about the main event of NXT to all of a sudden to that. But
it's time to go into SmackDown.
Well, no, hold on. I'd feel bad if I didn't say this first. I thought that was a fantastic tag team match to close the show.
Of course it was. It's 4 talented. I mean, say what you want about Otis. Otis is super athletic. I mean, for his size.
I know. Oh, dude, absolutely. He's a strong dude, and
strong, and he's mobile. He can.
it was kind of weird a few times because, sometimes you see more of his personality in the ring, but there were sometimes he just kind of had this look on his face, almost like kind of a look of, whatever, like he didn't give a damn. But I mean, it didn't reflect in any of the moves he was doing. But you notice a lot of times he'd be like more facial expressions and stuff. It was just more like, okay, to the point and all that. But it wasn't a matter of being more serious because he still did the worm into the elbow drop.
Well, you got to look at it like this. There was 2 guys in that match who were Money in the Bank winners, and now they're relegated to tag team matches on NXT. So I could understand why he might have it look like he didn't want to be there, because he probably doesn't want to be there. He wants to be on the main roster,
He wants to get that paycheck,
which he had been, and then they just kind of appeared in NXT one day. But
he's still on the main roster.
He is, but he doesn't want to be doing. He doesn't want to be on NXT. NXT is not what it used to be, in my opinion. I think there was a time where maybe a main roster person would want to be on there. They don't want to be on there anymore. He doesn't want to be on there. So
there's some of these, dude. I really think some of these veterans, like, I truly believe that Becky Lynch got a kick out of being out there with somebody younger than her, like Valkyrie. Valkyrie. I would keep wanting to say Valkyrie. I think it's Valkyria. And showing that she could hang with somebody that much younger than her.
But that's not the same, though, because when Becky goes down to NXT, it's because they want to boost ratings and get a face on there. When Otis goes down there, it's not for the same reason. So Becky knows she's going right back up, and she's their number one seller. So it's not like, okay, I'm coming down here because I suck, or they perceive me to suck, because Otis doesn't suck.
No, it does not.
Yeah, and that's the way that Otis, I'm sure, feels. Like, oh, they think I suck. Becky knows that's not why she's going down there. So there's a difference between those two. She probably did get a kick out of the younger people, but Otis has. That's because Becky gets to fight the older people. Otis doesn't. So
yeah, yes, he does.
Okay.
Wait, something I noticed too, like, when that match started, man, Tozawa came out just kicking and throwing blows. It was started quick, and it was good. Like, not a bunch of comedic nonsense or any of that, dude. It was a good entertaining match. And then at the end, and the ending was good. Corbin hit a power bomb, and then they immediately Tozawa was brought up or popped up, and then Breaker blasted him with a spear. But yeah, dude, that spot where he turned the move from the top rope into like a face buster, that was awesome.
And there's probably 4 guys on the roster on the main roster who could do that.
Yeah,
like physically could do that. I mean, even to have the balance to be able to do that while you're on someone's shoulders, and the hand-eye to catch a man in midair, and then it's just, he's already better than his dad or his uncle or whoever. But I'll be excited to see if they can use him properly.
I think they will.
I'm more hopeful that Triple H could do it than the previous regime. So we'll see. I think they can. But
what's his name? What's his name? Say it.
The guy with the moral high ground. But I mean, there's also, you could say to yourself, yeah, they're going to use him correctly, but they already haven't. So by having him have 2 squash matches and then having him go off camera. I also am not a fan of squash matches in 2024. I know when we were growing up, half of the episode was a squash match where they would just have jobbers out there like Harvey Whippleman just letting guys get wins. And jobbers serve a purpose because they allow for wrestlers to get wins without sacrificing another person who could be successful in the main roster. Because how many times have we, at this point, guys like Shinsuke Nakamura, he's essentially a high-profile jobber. I mean, half the guys who are extremely talented are jobbers but also at the same time, I feel like whenever they do that, it never goes well for that wrestler. Someone who starts off with jobbers normally ends up being a jobber later on. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm hopeful because I think that Braun Breaker has a bright career ahead of him. I'm hopeful that he can come back. He can come to the main roster, and I'm hopeful that they do something with Baron Corbin because I think that Baron Corbin is one of the most talented people that they have in the company.
I like the Lone Wolf too, and hopefully
good on the mic. Good in the ring.
Dude, and the way that he's remained loyal too, man. Some of these ridiculous gimmicks they've put him and covering him in dog food and all that nonsense, dude. I just
having him lose all of his money in the casino, like. And then giving him the redemption arc of giving him making him get rich.
Happy Corbin.
He did all of those things, and he got over with every stupid gimmick they gave him, which is why I don't understand why he is on NXT, because he always got a reaction. It's not like he went out there and the fans gave a Natalia reaction. They gave a real reaction to him every single time he went out there, and it is what it is.
Yeah, and the close the show after the match, the Good Brothers appeared, LWO appeared, and then Axiom. Is it Axiom and Frazier? I think Axiom and Frazier. I think I'm pretty confident in that. Anyways, when they popped out from the back, they bypassed everybody and bypassed the stare down and went right after the Wolf Dogs, and a big brawl ensued to end the show. So, they also had some good promos, some good setups for the Perez Valkyria championship match. And Valkyria brought up a good point about Perez because, Perez, the title was taken from Perez because she got hurt. But then she came back, and I forgot about this. She came back, and then there was a ladder match for the women's title that she was involved in, but did not win the match. So Valkyria called her out on it. It was like, hey, the title wasn't taken from you unjustly. You had an opportunity to win it back, and you lost. and so just, good points, good continuity, and so they did good hype from both sides for that, but then they had a great 3-part setup for the Hayes Trick Williams match where they had people being interviewed, and it all sounded so natural with had CM Punk and other wrestlers talking about, I know how it feels to be stabbed in the back by somebody you call a brother, and talking about, when you go out looking for revenge, you better dig 2 graves and stuff like that, and just referring to it like it's the most important match in NXT and stuff. But they did a great job selling it. I guess Trick's got family from Philly, and I don't know if he's from there originally, but it definitely lived there for a while. And they showed him, I think, training at Lincoln Financial Field, and then in a great visual, they had him running up the steps of the Philadelphia Art Museum, and dude, talking about people that you wouldn't think could actually beat somebody in real life, seeing that guy training and boxing and his size, I think it's suspending disbelief a little bit, but
of course it is.
That's what makes it good, though.
No, that's what makes it ridiculous. Because I remember last week when he was being held by the bodyguards and he was on his knees and Carmelo Hayes was standing up and they were looking at each other eye to eye. I'm thinking, this man's the same height as him on his knees, and I'm supposed to believe that he's about to win this match?
Okay, well, Josh, the same way I'm supposed to believe that a guy who's fighting for the championship in a week has admitted on camera to multiple murders on a bridge and has not been arrested. So, I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, the promo team can make you believe anything, because the biggest difference between AEW and WWE is the production team that WWE has, because the vignettes and the packages that they put
Oh,
together are just they're amazing. They're
you need to
unbelievable.
go and watch the Carmelo Hayes Trick Williams
I'll watch it.
little 3-part thing. It was good. It was good, man. It's going to looking forward to it. So far we've got Carmelo Hayes versus Trick Williams in the grudge match, which from what it sounds like and the way they've promoted it, that's probably going to close out the show. And I don't agree with that, but it is what it is. It's the most hyped up match. And you know, I mean, I guess kudos to them for recognizing that's going to be the most, you know, that's the main attraction for this card. And then you got a Go ahead.
I wonder if WWE's ever had an all black main event for something. I'm gonna look that up.
I mean, like, I thought they
for like a pay per view because I would consider Stand and Deliver as a or a PLE or whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to think of an all black main event that they might have had in the past.
I don't know. When you said main event, I'm thinking like an entire card. Okay,
No. Just the main event.
I feel.
When have they ever had like two prominent black wrestlers at the same time? I'm sure Mark Henry and The Rock didn't main event anything. Maybe Bobby Lashley versus
Rock and Farouk ever main event something? That was a prominent feud when it first happened.
Yeah,
but that was still in the middle of Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels and all that.
That was when The Rock was feuding with Farouk. He wasn't The Rock yet. Like that was him becoming The Rock. He wouldn't have been main eventing at that point. So I don't know. I'm gonna look that up. Later, and I'll let you know because I think if that does main event, they'll probably say something. If I had to guess.
No, and that's a good point, Josh. I feel like if it was that would have already been brought up.
Well, we don't know if it's going to main event yet.
Okay, yeah, that's true. But dude, let's face it. People, that is the match people want to see the most instead of I love Dragunov. Dragunov versus the Don is not, you know. But again, I'm on the school of thought if the main title on the show does not close the event, it should probably open it.
Yeah, I agree. The most important matches on any card, in my opinion, are the first and the last. Those are the most important ones. And if you put it in any other spot, you're diminishing the title. So I agree with you. And that's not to say it's going to be the best match, because a lot of times in the middle you have the best match, but the most high profile, the most important matches need to be first or last. Can't have them in the middle. But I think that's enough about NXT. Let's move on to the big boys and SmackDown. So just before we get into any individual match, my overarching view of SmackDown was Raw was just so much bigger than this week's SmackDown. And I felt like this week's SmackDown wasn't big enough for where we are in the road to WrestleMania. It was a fine show. That's not what I'm trying to say. But
it became very apparent what it was centered around.
Yeah. But when we can just jump into the first match, it was Kevin Owens and Randy Orton versus Pretty Deadly. Like, just that match, just those words coming out of my mouth a week away from WrestleMania. And I understand what it was, but you couldn't have them interfere. You couldn't have Logan Paul interfere with them wrestling somebody else other than Pretty Deadly. In my opinion, Pretty Deadly shouldn't exist.
Dude, I disagree. Because I think they're a good tag team, regardless of how you feel about the characters themselves. And I've seen them live too. They're very good tag team.
My issue is not with their wrestling. My issue is with their characters. They have too many of these type of characters on the show. Because in my opinion, at this point, the way they're being treated, the Aussie and John Cena, I'm drawing a blank. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are like the same type of tag team as as Pretty Deadly at this point. They're like the same people. So you're just stacking the card with these idiotic gimmicks, and you might like Pretty Deadly, but you can't tell me that that's a gimmick that should exist. It is a WWE gimmick. Don't get me wrong; it's a gimmick that they will do, but I wish they didn't.
Here's the thing about that gimmick. It does its job, and the other teams may not take them seriously, and then that's when they end up getting their asses kicked by good professional wrestlers. It kind of like a false sense of security. Like, oh, look at these guys. What are they wearing? And this and that. Oh, they're the slow motion entrances and all that stuff. And then it's like, oh, damn, no, these guys are good, and we didn't take them seriously. We thought it was going to be a walkover. But, I mean, yeah, I know. I haven't liked – because for a while there, I thought it was looking like they may get like a good significant push, and then that went by the wayside. But glad to see him. I mean, it was a good cheap heel win, but I was actually surprised. I figured at some point during the match, Orton and Owens would have turned on each other. And I was actually kind of surprised that they were still united against Logan Paul when he came out. And
it looked like for a second that Orton was going to turn on him after he got hit with the brass knucks, and he went to go check him on the ground.
I thought so too.
And then, if not for the replay on the jumbotron, I think that he. And obviously it was intentional. They wanted us to think that he was going to turn on him, and then they showed that, and then it just got silly again.
Dude, Orton was having a good old time tonight, man. Like, he was interacting with the fans, and took him 10 less minutes to get to the ring.
I think he's liking being a babyface right now. He's he's having fun. You can tell he's having fun and enjoying himself. That's good.
Oh no, it was awesome. And what was Logan Paul wearing? He looked like Schwarzenegger in The Predator. I'm just waiting for the camo paint and stuff. And
Orton had a lot of fun pretending like he didn't know where Logan Paul was. He was like,
he's like, under here. Oh, dude,
yeah. You just watched him go under there on the vignette. Why do you think these people know any more information than what you know? That was, I mean, he looked like he was having fun, and when he's having fun, us as viewers are having fun. So, I mean, it was fun. I mean, you're right. Pretty Deadly serves a purpose. Their purpose is to make the other two look better. They're good wrestlers. I'm not a fan of the gimmick. I don't like those type of gimmicks, but they are also a staple of professional wrestling. You're always going to have a gimmick like that. Before them, it was Tyler Breeze and Fandango, and there's always somebody like that. Like Grandmaster, whatever, and Too Sexy. I mean, there's always going to be a group like that. So doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean I have to like
Fair
it.
Enough. Fair enough.
And then on to the next match was the Street Profits and A-Town Down Under is what I guess they're calling themselves, which is hilarious.
And if the viewers, if anybody watching this did not see in their heads some variation of what ended up happening, if you did not see that coming from 50 miles away, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
I actually think that in the order of things, the next thing was actually Jade Cargill. So let's do that first. She looks the part. I'll say that. She is jacked. And I was talking earlier about that being the first black main event. They're getting a lot of more black wrestlers in the company, which I would never have thought they'd be able to potentially start some sort of group between 3 black female wrestlers. I mean, when was the last time they had 3 black female wrestlers in the roster at the same time? Never. It was always one at a time. They could have Jacqueline, and then they had Jazz. They probably only had like 4 in the history of the company.
They had Sasha, Cameron, Naomi, Bianca.
I'm not talking Obama black. I'm talking me black. So I don't count
Oh.
Sasha Banks. I'm not talking about Sasha Banks. I'm talking about Naomi, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, Jacqueline, Jazz. That's what I'm talking about. But anyways, she came out and she had the tallest boots I've ever seen. She's already a big girl. I don't know if she needed those boots, but
I did not mind.
she was high-fiving all the fans and signing autographs. I will say this. I don't watch AEW. I watch it here and there. I don't know a lot about Jade Cargill, so
I don't either. I just know she was high. It was a big deal when they signed her.
I know that. From what I've read, she's a little green, but the potential's there.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, does she have any mic skills? Because up until this point, I would say no, but I don't know. She looked a little. I don't want to say she looked nervous, but she did look a little nervous to me. She kept the same stoic face the entire time, and she made herself look imposing, which doesn't take much effort because she is imposing.
Right.
But just in the way that she walked, and the way that she talked, it just seemed a little nervous to me. But I'm going to put all that aside for a second. The first thing, and I'm going to say again, I don't know anything about Jade Cargill outside of the vignettes we've been getting. I thought to myself, man, she looks like Halle Berry in X-Men. And I guess that is her name, Storm. And I guess that's what she's supposed to look like. Yeah. So she looks like
you're talking about when she came back out later.
Well, she called herself the Storm. Does she normally call? Yeah. And she calls herself that because she is mimicking Storm from X-Men. And because to myself, I thought, oh, she looks like Storm with the white hair, a jacked black woman with white hair. That looks like Storm. So I'm guessing that's where she got the nickname from. And I apologize to our 4 viewers who probably obviously knew that's where she got her nickname from, or I'm way off base and that's not where she got her nickname from. I don't know. But anyways, I always thought her first feud was going to be with Bianca Belair. I'm clearly wrong. My guess is, well, it might be. My guess is where this goes is it's going to be the 3 of them versus Dakota and Io or Damage Control.
So I guess you didn't see the announcement. It's official.
Oh, it is official? Okay. No,
yes.
I did not see the announcement. So they're going to fight.
My question now becomes SmackDown announcement on social media.
They cannot put Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair in the pre-show. I will not allow it. My concern is it could happen.
I don't think Asuka should be anywhere near a pre-show either.
Yeah.
Or those titles, because that's a good tag team, and I think it's a disservice that the titles aren't being defended.
Yeah.
But
so where do you put them? Because I don't think that they can go on the main roster. I mean, we'll do next week once the final match card is decided. I mean, we can.
No, it's going to be on the main.
It has to be. It has to be.
Yeah, it better be.
Yeah, because like I said, don't know anything about Jade Cargill, but I know it was a big deal, and you can't put a big deal on the pre-show. So,
did you catch what Wade Barrett said?
No.
He said, he's like, I can't stop staring at Jade Cargill. And then there's a pause. He's like, and I mean that in the most respectful manner. It's like just her presence or something.
She does have a presence. He's exactly right. You can't take your eyes off of her because she's just in a ring full of talent. She stands out, and to stand out like that when you're standing next to Bianca Belair,
yes,
that's tough to do. And
yes,
she looked like the one, and obviously it was made to look that way, but she looked like the one who is the biggest deal out of all of them. And even though Bianca's a multiple time champion and has flirted with the main event scene on the women's side of things for years.
Oh yeah, and
So
TV commercials, the TV show. Oh yeah.
who do they make the heel between Bianca and Jade? Because at WrestleMania, one of them is going to attack the other. So is it Bianca attacking her because she gets jealous of the attention that Jade's getting, or is Jade attack Bianca so that she can assert herself as one of the top dogs in the company?
Do Naomi and Jade double cross Bianca?
I think it might be the other way around, because they've been showing all these things of the two of them getting close to each other, and Naomi trying to get the mist out of Bianca's eyes last week. So maybe they form an alliance and attack Jade. I mean, there's obviously going to be some combination. There's going to be something going on there, but I just don't know who's going to do what. And again, if I knew Jade better, if I had watched AEW, I could probably answer this question, see what she's more comfortable doing, because they're going to want to put her in a comfortable position as she's first starting out. Is she more comfortable as a heel? Is she more comfortable as a babyface? I don't know what she was with AEW. My guess is whatever she was with AEW is what she's going to be here. So if she was a babyface there, then she's probably going to be the one that gets attacked. If she was a heel there, then she's probably going to be the one doing the attacking. I don't know which it was. We'll see though.
That's a good question, and but I think inevitably there's going to be somebody turning on somebody within that group.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And then it went to the Street Profits versus A-Town Down Under, and man, the Street Profits, I thought they were going to be like the main event tag team once they got called up to the main roster. And
there's still plenty of time to fix that. I mean, that they came in during the old regime, but now they're having to play catch up and get other storylines sorted out. And I think they'll end up rectifying that. They have to, unless they're going to split them up, which they've teased before too.
And I was actually thinking about when I was watching the match and it first started, I thought to myself, weren't they supposed to have turned on each other by now? Because
they
teasing had the angle and they teased it, and then they just completely abandoned it.
Yeah,
and I don't feel like they even said anything. They were just friends again. They were just happy, and there were no issues. But they teased it for weeks, and they laid all the groundwork, and then they just scrapped it. But I think that today that they kind of opened the door again when Dawkins ran out of the ring because who was it? B-Fab and
Bobby.
And Bobby were on the ground. He ran out of the ring,
and I did not see anything like that coming.
And then they took the L. I'm even more confused why he ran back into the ring. Like, you ran all the way up the ramp, like you knew that you were leaving your partner, and then you lost. Like, why did you go up the ramp? Like, what were you thinking when you went up the ramp? Because my thought process is, you're going to go back there and help. So why'd you go up there to not do anything, just to come back to the ring after your teammate had already lost?
I thought that was kind of odd, but then, they usually show the match going on the Titantron behind them, so maybe they cut back to the match in the ring, and he saw that move had been hit and a pin was taking place, so he tried to hurry back to cut off the pin. I don't know.
I mean, the only way that makes sense is if he missed his spot, because he wasn't anywhere near helping. Like, he was 15 seconds late after the pin.
Oh yeah.
So, but it was fine. The match was fine. AOP came out afterwards and attacked the Street Profits. Lashley came to the ring and
got beat down.
Got beat down.
That match, I think, inevitably is going to be on WrestleMania. They've put too much time and too many segments together for that not to be on WrestleMania.
Well, that has pre-show written all over it.
Yeah. Well,
but
we'll see.
We will see. And then next we had the New Catch Republic versus Legado del Fantasma. A lot of talent in this match.
We're missing something.
Oh,
the segment before that.
The segment before that, which
that led to some
interesting
stuff afterwards.
Which segment was first?
Legado
so it was LWO versus segment versus everyone else, and then they had a segment with Judgment Day, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, Legado del Fantasma came out and they called Dirty Dom to the ring to thank him, about, I guess, showing up the week before. And Escobar said, hey, look, we've had our differences, but now I can admit to you face to face that you were right about your dad. And then Mysterio and most of LWO came down, and Ray proposed a tag match at Mania. Escobar and Dirty Dom versus Ray and a partner of his choosing, and he chose Dragon Lee, who now is officially a member, and that will be a fun match.
Oh yeah.
That's one that will be a great match for them to put in the middle of the card to, because there's always peaks and valleys and fan reactions to these long events. That will be one to get them back on track, because that's going to be a fast-paced match. Dominic Mysterio has the most thermonuclear heat of anybody I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, he can't talk. They don't allow him to speak.
And the fact that he could keep a straight face without laughing, because you can tell that the others in the ring are in a subtle way, doing it on purpose. Hey, let him talk, knowing it's going to just rain even louder. So
Dom's great. Dom is great. Did you, by any chance, you ever watch Impulsive?
I do. I've just seen a few of the clips where he has some of the wrestlers and some of the guests on, but I not regularly. No.
He had Ripley on, his most recent episode, and she was just talking about her relationship with Dominic Mysterio and how, because she's dating Buddy Murphy, from AEW, or Buddy. I think he left the company as just Buddy. But she was talking about how if she was in his shoes, that she'd be would not be able to handle the relationship that she has with Dominic Mysterio. Because, they essentially play I don't even know what the relationship is on the show, but kind of like a dominatrix type situation. And she was just talking about how much she loves Dom and how great he is and how good of friends they are in real life, and how it's great to have a support system like Buddy who allows her to have that relationship on screen with a guy like him. But it was a good watch. It was a good listen.
Okay.
Especially if you like Ripley, which I do. I love her. She's great.
Oh yeah.
My favorite women's wrestler right now, probably. But it's a good watch. It's a good watch, and you can definitely see the admiration that she holds for Dominic and the entire Judgment Day. She actually really thanked the Judgment Day for taking her career to the next level, which it did.
Yes.
And it also made her more comfortable in her own skin, because she described herself as being a little shy and reserved, and her being able to take on the persona that she did with Judgment Day allowed her to come out of her skin a little bit. But yeah,
oh yes,
it's good. It's good. But back to Raw. So
SmackDown.
Yeah, there was a match that ensued after the confrontation between all 900 of those people, with the New Catch Republic defeating LDF. What did you think of the match?
Oh no, I enjoyed the match, and I I mean, I figured it would be a good one, but I think they'll use that probably as the reason they lost, because the melee happened and then they had to go right into the match.
Well,
But I think the right team went over, and so now the 6-pack match is officially set. All the teams have been named now for it, and then but yeah, no, great match. I love Bate and Dunn as a tag team. They're great, and LDF is great too. I think their time will come with a title run, but yeah, I think for the time being, the right team went over.
yeah.
Because there'll be that continuity thing too, because I think there should be some good interactions in the match, because they had that great match in Australia, and had it not been for interference from Dom, they would have won the match, because I think Dunn hit the bitter end at one point, but like the ref was distracted or something happened, and led to Judgment Day pulling that one out there. So
Yeah. But then that led to the backstage segment with the Judgment Day, where
I love
they had a conversation. they were having a conversation about what Dom had just did, and Dom comes back there and gives his explanation that he was just trying to do right to the Judgment Day and make everybody proud of him. And Rhea's been talking this whole time about, Dom, we got to make sure that we have the communication. We talked about this, and they didn't have the communication because she didn't know what they were doing. And they're starting to show more cracks in the Judgment Day, and you can tell that it's going to sever off. I don't exactly know how Finn Balor plays a role in I don't know how they're going to separate. Is it going to go 2 and 2? Are they just all going to go their separate ways? I don't, because I don't really see the cracks between Ripley and Dom, because Ripley's still defending him, and she was getting upset when they were insinuating that they want to get him out of Judgment Day. I mean, yes, she's upset about the lack of communication, but she said it in a way like, I care for you and I just want to be able to communicate with you. She said it in a way like a married couple would when there's a communication problem, not a future divorce impending. Just, hey, we need to communicate better. Let's work on this.
Now, Priest, or I guess Ripley made a comment saying that she hadn't spoke to Dom about whatever, and Priest and Balor are like, well, that seems kind of odd. Like, is there something you're not telling us?
Yeah.
And then it looked like she kind of like didn't say, oh, absolutely not. She didn't get a chance to say anything before Dom came up clenching his ribcage and looking for the medical staff again. Oh, that running gag after every episode, that's getting awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And but then I think, that little thing I think will come back, because she didn't say anything, and she didn't get a chance to really answer. Like, she didn't adamantly deny it, she didn't confirm anything. But then Priest said, not only is WrestleMania going to be a big weekend for Judgment Day as a whole, but it's very important for them individually.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, what do you mean by that? Is there something you're not telling us? And then Finn kind of...
that he's going to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase against Gunther.
Yeah, God. I don't even want to think about that. But yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. But then Finn actually kind of squashed that and said, hey, let's just focus. All that matters is that Judgment Day is going to come out on top, WrestleMania weekend and all that. And then they made sure that they got Dom in the right direction for the doctor.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's going to be some angle where Dirty Dom is starting to have a relationship with Elektra Lopez.
Hmm. Well, that would be a good way for the two of them to separate from each other.
Yes.
Because you got to find something that comes between them.
Now, granted,
would,
that's just coming from that angle of, oh, is it another woman involved or whatever? Because, I mean, there was no...
That's what they'll do, though. That's what WWE does.
Yeah. But there were no indications of that when he was shaking hands with everybody in LDF. Like, it was just a quick handshake and nothing more. I mean, there wasn't any like little additional glance or anything.
Wade's bold predictions, everybody.
Yes. He's
0 for 30 until now.
About to be 0 for 31. His name is changing back to Walter during his entrance at WrestleMania, and he will once again be the A in Walter and go back to his old music, which was fantastic, and I do not like his new music.
Yeah.
But
his new music isn't terrible.
But no, it's not. I just like the other one.
But the other one was great.
And I liked singing Walter. Just Walter.
Walter.
Yes, and that needs to come back. And we need to be asked to do guest vocals when they do bring it back.
All right. So next up was a brief segment between Solo and Jimmy. Now, I got an honest question. The Samoan Spike. It was Umaga's finishing move.
I got a buddy who hates that thing.
Well, that's what I'm about to get into. It was Umaga's finishing move, and now it's Solo's. Make that move make sense to me. Is the thought process you're taking your thumb and jamming it into someone's trachea and forcing them to not be able to breathe anymore? Because to hit somebody with that much force with your thumb coming like this, you'll break your thumb.
That's why he has it taped, Josh.
Right, but it's not a cast. It's tape.
Pretty strong WWE. It's Samoan tape. It's stronger.
Samoan tape. Forged by the sword of Maui from Moana.
Man.
The Samoan Spike is the stupidest move that maybe is... Give me a stupider move.
Okay. Here's my thought process. Have you ever had somebody do the old, even a toned down version of a sternum rub where you look to see if somebody's faking being passed out or not?
Yeah.
That shit hurts.
Right.
So imagine a thumb coming full force in your sternum area. If that's where, because I'm confused, because sometimes it looks like he hits the chest. Sometimes it's further
the
up
neck.
here. Either way, that would be uncomfortable too.
It would, but to get the force necessary, like, listen, you got to think of your thumb. Take your thumb and then jam it against something. That hurts you. So it's if he's actually getting the thumb there, you would break your thumb each time.
Maybe he has it steel plated like Lex Luger's arm.
I forgot about that. I was such a stupid kid because I believed everything WWE told me when I was a kid. I believed that he had steel plates in his arms, and when he would hit somebody with his bicep right there, it would knock him out. I believed that.
Did he not? Because I honestly, that's one of those things that whole segment with Yokozuna and the Carrier, that when I'm thinking of wrestling, that periodically pops in my head.
Yeah, no, that's not real. He does not have steel plates in his arm.
But because I remember it looked like whenever they would zoom in,
he was just jacked.
No, but you could see like where like the metal screws were. And I didn't think, like, even now I'm thinking, okay, well, that's not impossible. And
they did a good job.
So
you're still questioning it.
So that's he real. Does not have metal on his arm.
No, and I found that out in my 20s. And
yeah, me too.
There's so many things that I thought was real. I used to think Papa Shango was real when he came out with his voodoo.
I don't feel so bad
now. But anyways, Samoan Spike, dumb finisher. But it's good. It's a good finisher for a loser like Solo Sikoa. You know, it fits his win-loss record pretty well. You're not going to win too many matches when your finisher's that dumb. So maybe that's why he's won for his last 190.
I can't wait to tell my buddy how much you hate that move too, because
It's so
he
stupid.
hates it.
It's not believable. It's stupid. It's stupid. But then there was a segment between AJ Styles came down to the ring and he seemed angry, and man, he must be considered a part-timer at this point and does not get tested because he is so big now. Like, he's so muscular. Like, that can't be natural how muscular he is now. He was like doughy. Not doughy.
Well, no, because and that's the thing. He was always like cut up, but he like just carried a little more weight. And so I guess like with him carrying more weight, I mean, it's not to me like he was when he came into WWE, he was always like this just little scrawny guy. You know, he
wasn't scrawny, no, but he wasn't this hulk of a man who comes out.
I'm just saying, I think when guys are already carrying a little bit more weight like that it's more plausible that
he's like 40. He's like 45. It's not plausible at that age, I don't think, for him to have gained that much muscle mass.
I think it is.
Yeah,
we'll find out when we have him on the show.
Ultimate Warrior was clean too. Yeah. Well, you should take this as a compliment, because I don't believe that he can look the way that he looks naturally. So you should take that as a compliment. If he is natural, great. If he's not,
well, when we have him on the show, we can ask him. So
okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh, I think we need to go back for a second. Did I hear correctly? Okay, so I guess a couple of things. So the wise man said the attacks last week were all given the go ahead and called upon by Roman Reigns, including The Rock's beatdown, which I wonder if that will come into the fray this last week, if Rock will agree with that or say, no, I did that on my own, or if they're going to stay a united front going into Mania weekend. But did I hear right? Solo is fighting Jay next week? Is that what they said? Because I thought they said that the tribal chief instructed that Jay doesn't make it to Mania, and so he's got so it's little brother versus little brother or something like that, or big little brother. But
yeah,
see, dude, and I don't like the idea of these sibling rivalries in an ongoing story like this being on a free Friday or Monday night. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, but I mean,
I know what they're doing, but
Solo.
Regardless, I just don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't.
Solo's gonna win because Jay's gonna win at Mania, and they normally let the person who's going to lose or win get beat up before. It's normally the way the wrestling does it. See who gets beat up the match before. They're immediately preceding the next main event, and that's normally the person that is going to win. So my guess is that Solo gives him a beatdown, and then he probably comes into WrestleMania against his brother with some bandages around his ribs.
That's the go-to.
Yeah, so he's going to have bandages around his ribs, and he's going to be favoring his side as he comes down to the ring. Maybe a little limp, too, if I had to guess. Yeah. And then he's going to overcome all the odds and beat his brother.
And a little Uzi Vert will have to escort him down to the ring during him singing his entrance.
Yeah. And then also after he beats Jimmy, since Jay's the good guy, he's going to try to help him up. And then Jimmy's going to realize, oh, you're still my brother, and because you're still wanting to help me. And then they embrace, and the crowd gives their oohs and ahs, and they're a tag team again. That's the way that goes down.
I don't think so.
That's the way that goes down.
No, because Jimmy is still going to be have to be involved in the tag main event, then tribal rules or whatever.
He's going to bring Jay back into the bloodline, and it's going to be just a cluster of events.
I don't agree with that, but we shall see.
Okay,
we shall
we'll see.
But dude, and with Solo, I think the botching of his booking started about this time last year. Remember his first time being pinned was, I think, the Raw before Mania, where Cody pinned him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, that was unnecessary. You put him as an important part of this faction that is the focal point of your TV programming, and you have him get pinned at a non-PLE event. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't, and it was completely unnecessary. There were plenty of other, that's going to be a theme of these podcasts. It was completely unnecessary to book it that way. And then it just hasn't really, and from what it sounds like, he's losing on the house shows, which, usually the bad guy does lose unless it's like, Roman Reigns or the champion. But
Yeah.
still, I don't, why? But then again, I know that Vince still had the final say in stuff at that point. And so, but now they, for the most part, kept him out of matches on TV. So I will definitely be interested to see how they book this one leading into Mania. Because he hasn't really been on TV much in matches solo here of late.
No.
So,
not really.
But anyways, I've got a big problem with this AJ Styles LA Knight thing. Talking about suspending disbelief or suspending reality, whatever the phrase is. You mean to tell me that I'm expected to sit here and believe AJ Styles is scared to confront LA Knight when he willingly met The Undertaker in a graveyard? I know.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
No.
Yeah.
Eh,
Yeah.
Now,
That's what you're supposed to believe. Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm pumped. I think that's going to be a great match, and I think that match is another one that I don't. It would be a great match, and maybe, I guess, in theory, that's one of the matches that could kick off the show, because LA Knight is still super super popular, and they know you're always going to get a fantastic match out of AJ Styles, and he still has a lot of fans, as he should, but that's either going to be, and it's still, to me, even though it probably won't be, there's too many other opening matches, but it's either going to be an opener or the middle to get the crowd back up at a peak match. Yeah. And I love the old school, have him dress up with the wig as the worker. That was awesome, dude.
So the house that AJ Styles was in when LA Knight attacked him last week, I really feel like that's the same house that they use for every house segment. Like the interior of that home looks so familiar that I thought that Randy Orton was going to get thrown through one of the windows, and it's just going to be a complete deja vu moment, because that house, I'm pretty sure, I think they're just using the same house over and over again. I don't know whose house it is, but I know whose it isn't, and that wasn't AJ Styles' house. He don't live there.
I was waiting for AJ to be sitting on the couch and pull out a gun for the intruding LA Knight, and then the camera scramble.
Yeah, and then Brian Pillman Jr. comes out of nowhere, and he was the one that did that, right?
Yeah, Pillman. Yeah, with Stone Cold in the house.
Yeah.
That would never ever happen again. That will,
No.
I guarantee. Maybe when it goes to Netflix. Maybe when it goes to Netflix.
That's never happening again.
Yeah.
No.
But dude,
No.
that's my biggest problem is with that, is him not showing up and him kind of almost ducking from him. And did you tell him not to be here tonight? You literally met the most imposing character in WWE history at a graveyard at nighttime.
Oh, yeah.
You can't after that occurs, you can't book him to be scared of somebody.
They can and they will. They
Yes,
did.
yeah, you're right. They will.
Yeah.
But
They think that we're stupid and that we don't remember things like that. So it is what it is. All right. The show ended off with Damage Control going up against Naomi and Bianca.
Well, no, it was Dakota Kai versus Bianca.
Oh, Dakota Kai. Okay.
Yeah.
And then other people.
Do you think they botched that ending? Did you catch the end? Do you think they got to her late? I mean, either way, it was going to be a loss for Dakota. But I just feel like with how soon after the third slap of the mat that they got there, I think they got there late. I feel that, again, in the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
if
usually,
late,
it's.
And then what did they add in? Because there was supposed to be more match. I felt like everything else was paced properly and it ended at the right time.
I'm thinking it was an issue behind the curtain that they sent them too late. I mean, that's the most plausible explanation is that they just sent them, or maybe it was just supposed to be like that. But that just seemed like they got there way too soon after the pin, because usually there's some delay, like when the ref's holding up the hand and they're distracted or that false sense of security and then they pummel them. I mean, this was like a fraction of a second after the end of the match.
Maybe it was. I don't know. But I mean, this entire thing was a vessel to get Jade Cargill to the ring again
in a new outfit.
Same result to me, but new outfits. You know, it was. I wish she got a little bit more physical. Did she get physical? I don't think she got physical. Jade, did she actually hit somebody or no?
Oh yeah, no. She had an issue with this too, to a degree. She cleaned them out. It was basically 3 against 1, and she cleaned them out because Damage Control was beating down Bianca. Then Naomi came and tried to make the save. They beat her down. And then Jade came out, and then she took out either Dakota or Asuka first. And then she hit, I believe that's her finisher that she hit on Kyrie. Because then the way she posed with her, like she was pinning her, and then she stood tall with Naomi and Bianca at the end. But she single-handedly cleaned house, and I don't. No. And again, dude, once she came out, which I think Ronnie Millsap could have seen that coming with how that ended. Still, especially somebody like Asuka just getting tossed aside that easily. And then like you've got the tag team champions getting tossed aside like that easily. And they've been a cohesive unit here for a while now.
They're not Jade.
I know.
Because you know what would happen if Jade Cargill got any one of those? Well, now that we're talking about this, and of course they got physical, my biggest issue with the whole thing was the Walker Texas Ranger style of fighting that they engage in, going up to Jade one by one. Like, why are you doing one by one?
Because that was a damn good television show. That's why.
That's true, but it never worked out for the people that tried to attack Walker. Attack her all at once. Like
remember that he was the enforcer in the casket match rematch, and Owen Hart was the poor soul that got tagged to go cross Walker.
It just doesn't make any sense. They literally watched her attack and then waited. Like, oh, they just beat her ass, so now let me go. Oh, they just beat her ass, so now it's my turn. Like, attack her. What are you doing? It doesn't make any sense why you're attacking her that way. It doesn't surprise me that they attacked her that way. That's just the way the company is. But they need to just have a long, hard look at just things that are logical. That's not logical. Not a logical way to attack this giant, muscular human being. Like, it's just stupid. It is dumb, but it is what it is. The segment served its purpose. It was to highlight the viciousness of or how powerful Jade Cargill can be, and how she can take out 3 of the most prominent wrestlers on the women's roster by herself. So Bianca, I hope that you see this, because you should be scared. I mean, that's the message that they were getting across, and they got that message across. Now I want to see how quickly they get her really in the main roster scene. I want to see how quickly they give her a match, whether or not it's going to be a squash match, which I'm guessing it will be because she's a bigger person, or whether or not they feed her to somebody like Valhalla or whatever. I don't know. But
I don't think so, man. I really don't think. I don't think they're going to have her in a bunch of these quick matches, because look at what they've done. Her first appearance was in the Royal Rumble, and then now her second physical confrontation has been wiping out 3/4 of a faction that's been running roughshod on that show. And then now her first official match involvement is going to be at WrestleMania. They are already beyond squash matches at this point. She's about to be booked kind of like Ronda Rousey. It's going to have to be high profile stuff at this point. I mean, there's not you can't really come back from your debut match.
No.
Being at Mania, or even the Royal, I mean, the Royal Rumble, that's a little bit different, that match presentation, but I agree. I don't know if we were recording when me and you discussed this earlier, but I think it's either going to be Naomi or Bianca is going to be her first feud.
Yeah, we were recording.
I'm thinking, man, it may have to be Naomi, because the next event,
Backlash,
they run a variation of this match back one more time, and then they set up the first
the way
singles feud at Money in the Bank, because that's one of the big ones now, obviously. So.
Yeah. They might let her win Money in the Bank.
I think I'm calling it here. Tiffany Stratton's a lock.
Okay.
It suits her character. Oh, and they had a great Tiffy vignette. That was amazing. When they're like walking down like Hollywood and Vine or something with and they zoomed in on her Louis Vuitton earrings or whatever, and it was just awesome. Just talking about the weight of the weight of perfection and all that stuff, and her how the weight of being gifted, and it was just
that's funny.
It was awesome.
Tiffy time. Yeah. Okay.
But I think so. Yeah, man, the WrestleMania card now is
taking shape.
There's not much left. I mean, I think the only unresolved things at this point are making the Final Testament versus do they have a name yet for Lashley and Street Profits and BFAB? Because I know they were discussing when are they going to come up with a name for them, but I mean, they haven't made that official yet, and besides that, I think all the title matches are set, though.
I just don't know what they're doing with Nia. Do we?
No.
Yeah.
No.
And Liv and Becky. Well, she's in that feud. I don't know what they're doing with that feud.
No, that feud's done. She beat her in a last woman standing, so now it's Becky. They moved on to Becky versus Rhea now.
Yeah, but what happened to Liv?
I'm not sure. I mean, Because I know like last week it was just strictly Becky and
Well, there's
Rhea.
people who don't have a match. They're going to be involved in some way. Whatever they're going to do, whether it's a battle royal or
Are they doing that this year? Did they say?
they haven't said anything. They haven't said either way. They haven't mentioned it. I don't know. I mean, they've put all their eggs in the bloodline. Not all their eggs, but they got a lot of eggs in the bloodline basket.
And the Mama Rhodes basket.
Speaking of which, I'm surprised that not surprised.
Look at you.
I thought they would have had Roman or The Rock today, but they didn't. That's fine. I was waiting for if you smell. It never came on. But
The Rock doesn't go to shows in Connecticut.
But Mama Rhodes does, and wherever Mama Rhodes is, The Rock will be.
Look
with
at
her baby boys. Blood on my hands.
Look at you now.
As I put it all over my belt.
Oh my God, dude.
And then I'm going to deliver that belt with Cody Rhodes' blood to Mama Rhodes on Dusty Rhodes' anniversary of when he died.
I think got another bold prediction.
What's that?
The Undertaker is going to come out with a bottle of chloroform like he did against The Rock at King of the Ring. And he's going to incapacitate The Rock that way and then ride away on his motorcycle.
He comes in at The Undertaker leaves as the American Badass. I like it.
You smell that? It's ether.
That's ridiculous.
Our 4 viewers, y'all have to go back and watch that Undertaker versus The Rock from, I think, King of the Ring 99. Is that what that was?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
What a fantastic finish.
But I think that that wraps up the SmackDown card. And that also, I think, wraps up this podcast. You know, we're trying things a little bit differently. Meeting on a different day. It's good.
Yeah.
But if you enjoyed the podcast, do not hesitate to hit that like button and also to subscribe. And we will see you next time on the Golden Squeeze Podcast.